Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our Sunday afternoon Meet the Atheists segment. Gives me great pleasure to introduce to you guys somebody from Malawi, Wonderful Mkhutche. How are you doing?
I'm fine. How about you there?
Yeah, it's nice. It's winter here, so we're a little bit cold, but it's good.
Yeah, it's the same here. We are now in the coldest month of the year.
Yeah, no, I thought you guys were a little bit closer to the equator, so it'll be warmer there.
Yeah, the temperatures go as low as 10 degrees. That's when
Same here.
it is too much. Yeah, so it's manageable.
Excellent, excellent. So, wonderful. Let's jump straight into it, and let's talk about our journey with belief and religion, because that's that's the important thing for us Africans. We always have to find some form of spirituality, or some people say it's coded into our DNA that we. But tell us a little bit about your religious background. Did you grow up in a religion? What was it like? When you were younger and in your formative years.
Yeah, well, thank you for hosting me. It's always good to have a platform to talk about these experiences, especially here in Africa. Yeah, I was born in a religious home, and that is by default, especially in my
Me
country. Most people are religious, so I was born in a religious home. At first, we were Catholics, and
too.
then from there we moved to being Adventists. So that was a dramatic change, but then we still adjusted. Because in our setting, the Catholics and the Adventists are like two churches in two different ends. Yeah, but after some time, that's when I started thinking over religion, and one thing that helped a lot was when I was in the university, because I studied theology and religious studies. So those studies helped a lot in terms of trying to clear it of my doubts, trying to be clear about the things that I was observing. So even though I was in the church, I remember some pastors and church elders telling me that you're asking too many questions, uh, you are doubting a lot. Uh, yeah, this other time when I was chosen into a church position, I remember approaching the pastor. I said, Pastor, I may be a good, faithful member, but inside me, there are certain doubts about religion, about the church. So, can you please spare me from the leadership position? I should just be a member. So that pastor said, no, it's normal, it happens.
Yeah, you must just go pray.
Though
Go
I was
pray
in the
about
church,
it. Have faith.
yeah, I had these questions. So when I wanted to study theology, it helped me to clear my doubts. That's when I said, yeah, I think I was right when I was doubting about some of these things. So from there, I think that is around maybe 8 years ago. That's when I was slowly leaving religion up to this day.
Amazing, amazing. So was there a specific person or an organization that influenced you, or was it 100% an inside job? Was it just that you had a questioning nature and you wanted to know, what it was all about? So you did some research, or was there a specific person that helped you, to feel comfortable doubting?
No, there wasn't any, because in my environment, I was surrounded by religious people.
Right.
So it was an inside job from day one. Simply my doubts. Maybe when I was reading the Bible, I would see that some of the things are not adding up. And when I raise those questions at church, people would simply dismiss me. So being dismissive was also telling me something that maybe there is something that is being hidden. But I should also mention the role of my father, because when I was passing through these ideas, I remember talking to him just in a passing conversation, and he was like, I'm also not much into religion these days. What I would simply concentrate on is just being a good person, because religion, it may be true, it may not be true, but in the end, if you are a good person, I think that's what is matters. So
Yeah.
it was like someone who was close to me, trying to understand me, and it helped in my
Yeah.
confidence about issues of religion.
Yeah. That's so important. That thing that you mentioned now is when you find other people who are also in the same mindset. It
Yeah,
really helps you to speak about these topics and to understand them, because religious people tend to keep non-believers in isolation. They isolate them from community. They isolate them
yeah,
from all things in society. So it's a very lonely journey. So when you find that one person that also doubts, you immediately you feel lighter, because there's not so much pressure on you to keep on believing the stories of the church.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Um, tell us, wonderful. What is the environment? You said like it's majority religious people. Is it only Christianity, or is there also some Islam in Malawi? How is the religious landscape there?
Yeah, but most is Christianity.
Yeah,
From the 2018 national census, it's like Christianity is 80%, and
80%.
then maybe, yeah, 80,
You.
and then around 15% Islam, and the rest is going to small religions like Hinduism, African
Right.
tradition religions. Yeah,
Traditional
so that is
religions.
the landscape. So it's mostly dominated by Christianity, and then
Mhm.
Islam comes second.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And do you think this is just a legacy of the colonial influence that Christianity has spread so widely in Malawi, especially?
Yes, 100%. It's a colonial legacy.
Mm,
Because when you're talking about the largest denominations that we have, we're
mm,
talking about the Catholics. They came as Portuguese missionaries. The earliest ones were Portuguese missionaries uh, from Mozambique. So, Portugal colonized Mozambique. So
mm,
they were coming also into Malawi. And then we have the Presbyterians, and these ones came because of David Livingstone. And
yeah,
Livingstone, he came to Central Africa
yeah,
on an exploration journey to colonize, like to open the way for colonialism.
yeah,
And when it comes to Islam, it's mostly because of the slave trade
yeah.
along the coast of Lake Malawi. So
Okay.
most of the Muslims that we have in the districts along the lake shore, and it is as that simply because the lake shore is easily connected to the eastern part of Africa. So the Swahili Arabs were coming from the east, looking for slaves in the interior of Malawi. So they were getting those slaves from the lake shore to the East Africa. So that is
Yeah,
why Islam spread along those areas. So in short, when we're talking about Christianity in Malawi, it's a colonial legacy, and the Islam in Malawi is a slave trade legacy.
yeah.
Yeah,
I always find it so sad when especially when you're on social media like Facebook, you see Africans, and especially from the central part of Africa, they all about white Jesus and and Muhammad and all of this, and I'm going like, hey, wait a minute. I mean, do you know your history? And there's this big movement here in South Africa, especially where people are saying, oh, you have to
Mm.
decolonize your mind and you have to let go of all these things and embrace your
Mm.
African essence. And but then on the weekends they in the church.
Yeah, but and that's the same experience we have here.
Yeah,
I remember this other time I attended. It was an academic research session. So we had
yeah,
lectures presenting on the African tradition, religion, why Christianity is a colonial legacy, everything about that. So at the end, I asked them my question that, you are always researching about these things, and then here you are presenting them, and it is the same you on Saturdays and Sundays. You'll be going to those same churches which you are calling that they are colonial institutions. So why don't you let the knowledge that you have change your actions? So what they answered is, what we study in the academia is different from what we should be practicing every day. So I said, then there is no essence there,
yeah,
because whatever knowledge that you get, no matter how you get it should influence your life in a certain kind of a way. So if you think the church is a colonial institution and you want to decolonize our minds, then you have to take the action of stopping patronizing those same colonial institutions.
mm,
That's what knowledge
exactly.
should be doing to us. It should be changing
Yeah,
our actions. So
yeah,
that was just a small sample, but you meet these kinds of people. They talking about decolonization. The white man is doing this. But when it
yeah.
comes to religion, they still go back to the same institutions of the white man. So it's a kind of a hypocrisy.
It's ironic, it's very
Mm.
ironic when you when you look at it from a larger perspective. um Wonderful, tell us a little bit about Humanists in Malawi, Humanist Malawi, because I see you are the executive director. Tell us a little bit about the organization, the work that you do, maybe some of the projects that you guys are passionate about,
Mm.
and how
Mm.
that ties into non-belief. I mean, we all know that humanism is the focus on the human being, and not the specific spiritual elements. Those are not really important to humanism. It's all
Yeah.
about the well-being of people, right?
Yeah. 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 But humanism in Malawi started around 10 years ago. That's when we had the first person who was openly talking about it. And that is a man we call George Tindwa. So, together with his other friends, they started an organization called the Association for Secular Humanism. Yeah, that was around 2011, somewhere there. So, George Tindwa came. He challenged the religious establishment to an extent. So, for the first time, people were hearing someone saying that God does not exist. The church is just a colonial institution. Jesus Christ is a lie. Is not a savior. And then, to an extent, he was also challenging some traditional beliefs. For example, the belief in witchcraft is so wide
Yeah,
here in Malawi.
yeah,
Someone who was saying that witchcraft does not exist, and he actually went on to challenge people to say if it is there, then we can in any kind of way, and in return, I'm going to give you money. So nothing happened to him up to this very day. So that was the beginning. Um, in those early days, the most prominent project was when the organization was moving around in the courts and the prisons to release those who had been imprisoned on the argument that they were practicing witchcraft. Because there was a certain neglected issue for years. In most cases, our law here says that witchcraft doesn't exist.
Mm,
So there were occasions when someone in the village was accused of being a witch,
mm,
and it was hard for the community to still be around that person. So what the authorities were doing was they were simply getting that person and keeping them in the prison.
mm.
And most of the women, they were just there in prison, uh, no issue against them, just being suspected that they were practicing witchcraft. So the
Yeah.
organization went around in the courts, in the prisons, fought for these people, and they were released and they were taken back to their communities, and some of them are still there happily with their families. So that was
Yeah.
one of the major projects that the organization did. For now, what we did was we changed the name of the organization. It is now Humanist Malawi.
Right.
So the change was trying to rebrand the organization because at first um, it was only sounding like it is an organization for atheists.
Mm,
So some people are saying, no, we don't just have atheists, we have also non-believers in different categories.
mm, mm.
So all these have to be accommodated under the organization, and the name change also was trying to focus that humans in Malawi, our main target is to make sure that the welfare of people is prioritized. So not just
Mm.
about witchcraft, but maybe about
Yeah.
political governance, the separation of church and the states, everything. We should have the human as a priority. So after changing that name, we have tried to do different things, public lectures. We have also tried to advocate against witchcraft-based violence. In some occasions, when someone has been threatened, maybe to be a witch, they do call us, and our job is to communicate that information to the police, to the tradition leaders, to make sure that they intervene. And we are
Yeah.
also trying to call the separation of church and state to remove religion from governance. So these are some
Mm,
of the things that we are doing.
yeah. And that's such
Yeah.
important work, especially when it comes to witchcraft. I'm reminded of the work as well that Dr. Leo Igwe does in Nigeria, where they
Yeah.
advocate they advocate for these people who are alleged witches. And because we've got we are very passionate in Africa, so people get angry very quickly, and when they discover that there's a witch, you'll get mobs that
Yeah.
just take the law into their own hands, and people get abused and mutilated, and
And we have serious issues when it comes to that. And I'm glad people's attitudes are changing
mm,
because 10 years ago, when someone was killed by a mob, when they were suspected of being a witch, people were indifferent. They
mm,
would simply look at it and say, maybe they were indeed a witch, so that's
mm,
what happens. But when it happens today, the general public reaction is that of anger, uh, that people could do such a thing to
mm.
someone that wasn't proven. So
Yeah.
there's a huge change in attitude. And I remember a case that was in January 2016, the one that made me directly get involved in these things. 4 grannies were killed in Ineno district in the south of Malawi. So it was the grandchildren of these 4 grannies, the very grandchildren. So they took them, uh, made them sit somewhere, and they were beating them with axes, uh, stones, everything. It was a terrible scene. And after seeing that, that is when I went to meet that guy, George Tindwa, and I told him that uh, whatever way that they are doing to fight against witchcraft based violence, he should try to get me involved because I cannot just sit there and watch things like this happening. So there are serious issues that keep on happening. But one thing I should be positive about is the change in people's attitudes towards
Yeah.
witchcraft-based violence. There's a great change.
Yeah, this is a funny thing is they call access to information is the great sanitizer. It
Yeah.
sanitizes people from superstition very quickly
Mm.
when they have information at hand. And we have a question here from one of our members here, Bolelangi asked, "Wonderful, I noticed that you're a theologian also. What does it mean to be? What does that mean to a humanist?"
Yeah, but I studied theology, but not theology, the one in the church.
Right.
That
So
in
more
Yeah,
comparative
that one
religion.
is a secular theology, something like philosophy.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not a theologian in a pastoral sense. No, 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 no. Yeah,
That's very interesting. A lot of
yeah.
people say when they study religion, they leave it behind. It's that
Mm,
story of they say somebody who's a butcher who's a
mm,
butcher for his job doesn't
mm.
like the taste of meat because
Yeah,
they see it every day.
yeah,
And
exactly. I
yeah,
think maybe because they also witness how that cow was killed, and
exactly.
it goes in their minds that they are eating such kind of a thing that was brutally killed. So
Yeah,
the same it was after studying theology. You see the gaps inside the religion or the Bible, and then you say, I don't want to be part of this thing anymore.
yeah, yeah.
Mm,
And you touched briefly on the harm that superstitious and religious thinking does. But can you think of any examples in your community and in your country where religion has a negative impact on people? Like here in South Africa,
mm,
people will do the most atrocious things in the name of religion. They will con and steal money from people. The pastors are the biggest scammers. They'll
mm.
have people, do all this. I mean, you must have seen these clips online of our pastors doing all these miracles, waking up the dead people and walking on
Yeah.
air. They have no shame. They have no shame. Do you have something like that where you live as well?
Yeah, but that experience is also being found here,
Right.
especially the Pentecostal pastors, the prophets. Some people are even selling their own household items just to take the money to give it to the prophet in terms of they say it is a seed. Like when you give the money to the prophet, it's like you are planting a seed for good fruits in your life. And I have seen a lot of friends doing that,
Yeah.
uh, arguing passionately that it works.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but to an extent, I've seen maybe some families uh, going into divorce simply because the prophet advised maybe the woman or the man that the person that they married is not the one that God wanted. I have personally witnessed such a thing happening.
What?
And another thing when it comes to religion, it also concerns about national development, and that
Yeah.
is one of the uh, clearest argument that I like saying. For example, here, whenever something has happened, for example, floods or
Yeah.
even a drought,
Mm.
people simply say maybe it's because we did something wrong as a country,
Yeah.
so we should pray to God for forgiveness,
Yeah.
so that rain should come. Or even right now, we are amidst a debate on the legalization of homosexuality.
Right.
So some people are saying if we legalize this, then it means God is going to curse our country. We are going to face a lot of problems, as if we don't have problems as of now. Uh,
It's true.
so,
I mean, like look at South Africa. I mean, we had homosexuality legalized here when it was like in the 90s, somewhere in the
mm,
90s, and
yeah,
now we don't get electricity for some time in the year. So it's true. It's true. Yeah.
yeah, another major issue here is almost every year we have what we call national prayers for rains, uh,
Yeah.
like
The
trying to
same
ask
here.
God,
Yeah.
yeah, to give us good rains, and
Mm.
then in the end we end up with floods or even a drought.
Yeah.
So you start asking that, what did those prayers do now?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, such kind of attitude, keeping away
Yeah.
from doing certain kind of things.
Yeah.
If you know Malawi, it's a country where we have a good agricultural potential. Uh, Over 60% it's arable land, and then
Yeah.
we have a lake that crosses the entire length of the country
Right. Right.
from north to south.
Yeah.
And then here we are almost every year. We don't have enough food when we have enough land and water which we can be using for irrigation.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
idea that it is God who provides the food, the rain, I think it also affects us in a certain kind of way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
true. This is the thing that I really despise about religion is that it causes people to look for solutions to their problems outside of themselves. They won't
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
let me see what I can do. Let's plan, let's get together as a community.
Mm,
We've got a lake. Let's get someone to sponsor us with a pump and let's irrigate the
mm,
fields or something.
mm.
There's but no, they'll go to church. Let's pray for rain. This is the thing that that
Yeah,
frustrates me so much.
and that's one of uh, our main point as humanists Malawi,
Yeah,
that the answers that we want are inside us, they are not outside. So we don't have to look for an outside authority to answer the problems that we have. If we don't have enough food, maybe there is something that we can do in order for us to have that food. If our economy is not working, it's not about God or Satan trying to punish us. We just have to try to find a way how to go about it.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like religion teaches people not to take responsibility. They don't take responsibility for their actions because they can just go to church on the weekend and pray for forgiveness. So there's no problem.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, I like that point about responsibility. Uh,
yeah.
another major issue that we have here is the challenge of corruption.
Oh, don't
So
talk
you
about
have people in high government offices who are members of different churches. So after doing their corruption, it's easier for someone simply to go to church and then say, "I did this. Please, God, forgive me."
Yeah.
But when you don't have that outlook of life, if you have done something wrong, you don't find your peace through asking God to forgive you. You
Yeah.
find your peace through trying to struggle to change yourself. If you
Yes.
have done something wrong and you have
Mm.
noticed that I did this wrong, it's not about going to God for forgiveness, but it's looking inside of you, trying to change your actions. That next time, when a similar issue happens, you can respond to it in a different way.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I always like to ask people if you can look back now to a time when you were much younger, when you still was had religious beliefs. Is there something that you can say to that young wonderful to just kickstart or make the journey go quicker? Maybe something like don't trust the priest or or something along those lines, or think for yourself or something. What advice would you give yourself?
Now, I I would simply advise myself to maybe I would tell the young wonderful that he should keep asking more questions.
Yeah.
Um, I was asking questions as a young person, but some of the questions were being dismissed simply because I was inside religion. So that's one thing that I regret now. That if I had mistrusted religion at an earlier age, maybe the questions that I was asking could have been more clear, and they could have influenced me in a certain kind of way than how I am here, simply because the present change that I have happened maybe 7 or 8 years ago. But if I had maybe done those changes from a young age, yeah, maybe I could have been a different kind of individual.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's strange. Sometimes I also look back because I also deconverted maybe about it was also about 10, 11 years ago.
Okay.
And I say to myself, if I became an atheist earlier, I would not be the same person. I would not be the person that I
Mm.
am now. I'd be a completely different person. So,
Yeah.
it was supposed to happen. I don't believe in fate or destiny or anything like that. But,
Mm.
I'm okay with it having happened like the way that it did because, it's really been such an incredible journey just to it's strange. It's almost like you have an insight into something that the general
Mm.
population is completely missing. And
Yeah.
because I'm also have a very strong humanist tendency in me, I sometimes want to take people and just like shake them and say like, "Wake up!" you know, wake up! Look at what this is doing to you, and look at how you are treating other people because of your
Mm.
religion. Look how you are treating half of the human race, the women. Look how you treat the women because of your religion. They are
Yeah.
also
Mm.
people. That's half of the planet. They're women, and
Yeah.
they're being treated terribly because of
And
this.
I was having that same kind of discussion just a few days ago with someone on WhatsApp. So someone shared an individual who has no legs.
Right.
Uh, that is how the person was. He was born like that.
Yeah.
So the person was simply saying, "No, these are the works of Satan." So I said, "So where did you get that idea?" Says,
Yeah.
"No, it's in the Bible. Even God said that these people were not allowed in the presence of God uh, at the temple. So because it is the work of Satan." So I was simply telling him in those same lines that you see, you are using religion to be hard on this person. But if you were looking at these things from the humanist point of view, you would simply understand it that in nature, anything can happen when someone is being fertilized or even is being born.
Mm.
So yeah, I wanted to add on that people are
Yeah,
using religion in ways that are castigating other people. They
yeah.
are looking down upon others, calling people all sorts of names, or even cursing them simply because they are not believing in their God.
Mm, mm. In the same word. Yeah, it's sad,
Yeah,
and that's the thing is, when you look at things from a humanistic perspective, you cannot help but feel compassion and empathy, and those
yeah,
are the two
exactly.
things that, religion, they only feel compassion and empathy for people who are in the same religion, not for the rest of
Yeah,
humanity. They couldn't care about
exactly.
Muslims and the Hindus. Those people can can go to hell for all that they care.
Yeah,
So it's a strange condition.
and
um, Wonderful.
and then
Sorry to interrupt you. I just wanted to add on that, uh, this Humanist Malawi organization that you are the director of. Um, are you guys involved in any kind of activism? Do you, you talked earlier about the element of education, and and having conversations with people when it comes to the context of witchcraft allegations. Is there any other kind of outreach projects, or something that you guys do just to propagate humanist principles?
yes, we do, but most of our activities are limited to funding.
Of course, yeah.
We would like to do more, but we don't have enough for us to do those activities. But whenever we have some help, we do get some help, especially from Humanist International. It's just a little money anyway. Uh, but we hope that we are going to get more from them, and also other organizations. Uh, just recently, we had what we call a public lecture at
Yeah.
the University of Malawi. So that
Mhm.
public lecture was about humanism and the politics in our context as a country. So how do these two interact, and what's the best way forward? And
Yeah.
sometimes we also do organize debates about humanism.
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes I do appear in the media to talk about humanism.
Mhm.
And recently, I also published a book on
Oh,
politics and the religion in Malawi.
right.
So the book is simply trying to discuss the interaction between the two.
Yeah.
I have a better understanding of politics because after studying theology for
Yeah.
my master's degree, I wanted to study political science at the University of Malawi.
Right. Right.
So that is where my life is kind of built in religion and politics.
Right.
So the public lecture was based on these two, religion and politics.
Yeah.
And so happy to also say that in the upcoming World Humanist Congress in Denmark, I have been put as one of the guest speakers to talk about
Amazing.
humanism and the
Mhm.
politics, or humanism and the democracy in the southern part of Africa.
Yeah. Incredible. You
Yeah,
must definitely send me the links to those events, and I will put them in the description of the YouTube video, so people can go and see those events when you are live, and also a link to where people can get a hold of your book if they want to get a digital copy of your book. We must put that information out there as well.
okay.
Yeah, this it makes me, it does, my heart is feeling so happy today, because when we see all the wrongs that happen in our continent, and we see all the evil that people do. It's so good to see that there are good normal people trying to make the world a better place. And like I said, I love talking to because it's a general trend amongst atheists. Like, what do you
Yeah.
replace religion with? People say to you, like, oh, if you don't believe in God, what are you going to believe in? You have to believe in something. So you can say, yes, I believe in people. I believe in people and the good that's
Yeah,
in
but
people.
I believe in
That's what I
humanity.
replace.
Yeah. Mm.
Exactly.
Yeah, and one of the arguments people make along those lines is that if you don't believe in God, then you are going to turn up into a bad human.
Yeah.
And I do challenge them to say, what wrong do I do that you don't do, or
Yeah.
what right do I do that you don't do? So from their
Exactly.
responses, I simply tell them that, the wrongs that you do are the same ones that I do. The weaknesses you have, I also have them. So
Yeah.
why do you make that argument to say when someone doesn't believe in God, then they are going to be bad? It's not true.
Yeah. It's not true, because if you go to prison, you're going to find it's
Mm.
full of religious people.
Yeah, a lot of them. And if religion worked, I think we could have a very good country. But look here, we have over 98% of our people are religious, but then we have corruption, killings of people with albinism, and all this is being done by people who say they believe in God.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy. That's crazy. Wonderful. I just want to say thank you very much for meeting with us today, for coming to talk to us, telling us what it's like where you live. If there's ever an opportunity where we can collaborate on something, please reach out to me, and we are very happy to have met you. Is there anything that you want to promote? Maybe do you have a social media, or maybe a Twitter or a YouTube or something that we can tell people about?
Yeah, of course, as a Humanist Malawi, we have a Facebook page, on Twitter. Of course, recently we haven't been updating it that much, but we have those pages. Um, I'll have to share you the links, and then you can include them in the description.
Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much for your time. Wonderful, and keep doing the good work that you do up there. Good job.
Okay. Thank you. We'll keep doing it uh, until we see some kind of changes in our country and the society.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.